So the wild garlic is in absolute abundance here, and a few people have been asking me for some ideas on what to do with wild garlic. It's just covering the woodland ground here in South Wales, so I thought go out, pick some, then go back to my kitchen, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways on how to make recipes with wild garlic. The first thing we're going to do is wild garlic potato patties. Then we're going to do a tapenade, wild garlic tapenade, which is an olive pate essentially that you can put on crackers and sandwiches. And then we're going to do sautéed mushroom. I'm going to use shiitake mushroom, but you can use any mushroom you like, with wild garlic. It's going to be delicious. It's going to be divine. I've picked us a nice big punnet full of wild garlic leaves, and now we're going to go right back to my kitchen to make these 3 recipes together, and I do hope that you join in with me. Let me know how you get on. If you haven't subscribed, remember to subscribe to my channel, click thumbs up, and please leave me a comment if you can. I love getting your comments. Alright, let's go. I'm using pitted green olives. You can use black olives if you want. Just strain them, give them a bit of a shake to rinse off any excess liquid. And then I'm going to get a generous handful of wild garlic, put it in a jug because I'm going to blend this with a hand blender. Because the olives are already salted, you don't need to add any salt. So literally olives from a jar, wild garlic, get a hand blender if you've got one. If you haven't, just use a food processor. And then you want to just pulse downwards until everything is evenly combined. It can be a little bit rustic as well if you like, so you can put that in individual containers and freeze it for use later if you want to, or you can serve it immediately. And this goes really nicely on crackers, on oat cakes, and it adds that nice wild vibrancy to any salad buffet. Here I've got 550 grams of potatoes that I cooked a couple of days ago, left over, and I'm going to mash them up. Because they've been in the fridge, they're a little bit firmer, and you'll notice that I kept the skins on. I'd already put a little sprinkling of parsley on these before. That's absolutely fine. There we go. And then I've got a nice generous handful of wild garlic, so it's about that much. You don't really have to weigh it because a bit less, a bit more is fine. I want to chop that quite finely. And then put that in with the potatoes. And then I'm going to mix that all in until it's evenly combined. It's easiest to do that with your hands, squishing as I go. It's kind of like playing with your food, which I highly approve of. You just put a little bit of sea salt and a big twist of pepper in as well. And then what you want to do is get a little bit in your hand and press it together really firmly. And firmly is the key here, because if you don't, it'll fall apart. So you just want to create this nice patty shape like that. You just sort of pat pat, round round, pat pat. I think that's why they're called patties, because you go pat pat pat. Look at that, as if by magic. I've got 8, I think. You can either put them in the air fryer or you can grill them. So you want to grill them, it's called a broiler in the USA, we call it a grill in the UK. You put it under the grill and cook them until they're tanned on both sides. That's probably going to take about 8 minutes on each side on a regular normal grill. These are shiitake mushrooms. You can use any mushrooms you have, and you want to chop them into nice generous slices. And this is about 100 grams, a really nice big handful of wild garlic. This is going to condense down when we cook it, so I'm just going to chop that into small pieces like that. Next I'm going to get a large pan. This is a steel frying pan, and then I'm going to put a very light dash of oil. I'm actually using toasted sesame oil. That's probably about 2 teaspoons. Don't need very much, just let that come to heat up. flick a little bit of water on, and when it starts to sizzle, that's when you know it's ready. Pop in your mushrooms. And what I want to do is use a very small amount of oil here. What I want to happen is to let the juice of the mushroom come out. So I'm going to let that saute for a few minutes. It might even be up to 10 minutes. And I can see them starting to burn on the bottom of the pan slightly. So what I want to do is add a tiny bit of water. Steamy, steamy. And that's going to stop them sticking to the bottom of the pan. And there we go, they're starting to cook nicely. You can see how they've shrunk quite a bit in size. Pop all of your wild garlic in at this stage. And then to moisten it, I'm going to put some tamari, shoyu or soy sauce in, just a nice sprinkle. A little extra splash of water. Stop it burning. And then mix that in. So that's going to stir steam now. Keep the mushrooms at the bottom for another couple of minutes, and that will just let them cook through nicely whilst your wild garlic is steaming. Gradually start to stir it in. If you eat bread or sourdough bread, this serves really nicely on toast. It serves really nicely on top of baked potato. Or if you're into brunch or a cooked breakfast, this is an amazing posh and fancy option for a cooked breakfast. Once you're happy that they have cooked thoroughly, you can taste one if you want, then you can serve it. If you don't want to use tamari, just use a bit of sea salt and a nice big twist of black pepper right at the end. I think that is just about perfect. Oh my word. I hope that you enjoyed these recipes as much as I enjoyed sharing them with you. Let me know how you get on. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.